from Darold.
Yeah. And Raid uses his Sea-Chrome Coast to Thought Scour at the end of Darold's turn. So both of them off to the type of start that they want to be.
And Raid deciding on his second land drop here.
Looks like
Definitely
that's
has a land.
Cavern, and I'm not sure what else he tripped in.
Is it possibly another Thought Scour?
Certainly could be. Gataxian Probe from Raid will be played 4-1 blue.
And we see
The
Forest, Sword of War and Peace, Green Sun Zenith, and Alawar Elves. That's kind of huge because that's a turn 2 sword.
That sword is very strong against Raid. Draws his extra card, take a look at what he's got to go on, and just ships over after laying an island.
Turn 2 sword, go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what Darold wants to be doing.
And I don't think that Raid has anything main deck that deals with that.
I mean, he's got his best chance is to try to keep guys off the table. He needs a gut shot right now for that birds before gut shot doesn't do anything to the birds.
Well, he knows that there's a Llanowar Elf and a Green Sun Zenith waiting in Darold's hand. And Darold is going to have some interesting decisions as to whether he wants to develop his board a little bit more or whether he wants to just kind of go in on the sword plan.
Yeah. I think the sword plan is huge. So I think, if I'm Darold, I just go ahead, play with the sword until Raid can deal with it.
Equip up the birds, get in with the birds, gain some life, deal some extra damage.
Yeah, so
play your forest and get that Llanowar Elf down.
It does 2 plus however many cards are in Raid's hand. Darold gains, I want to say 3, 4.
And remember, this is out of a mulligan to 6 for Darold. So Darold gained 5 and an extra 5 damage to Raid, taking him down to 13.
Birds of Paradise in for 7.
Yeah. Those are dangerous words right there.
And that's how it goes. I mean,
can we get the timeout?
Yeah, if I'm Darold, this is exactly what I do. Like, deal with it or that's it. And Raid, like you said, he doesn't have anything main deck that can do much. Lingering Souls does nothing.
Yep.
Restoration Angel does nothing.
Oblivion Ring is really his only out here. Doomblade,
he does have a 1-0.
Doomblade would allow him to get rid of the birds, but that's not really the primary issue. The primary issue is the sword itself.
So Blade Splicer and the Golem get in for 4, Darold to 21.
And we'll also note that Raid does not have any black mana available to him. 2 Glacial Fortresses, a Sea-Chrome Coast, and an island leaves him without access to those 2 Doomblades, even if he does have one.
So Restoration Angel comes in, attempts to blink the Blade Splicer. Darold with a Galvanic Blast in response. Nice save there, preventing a Golem from hitting the table. And now the sword connects.
Now Darold just has the Green Sun Zenith in terms of gas in his hand. He's got a forest and a mountain. So he's able to go and get something, but he's going to pass back over, save that as kind of recovery if Raid gets back on track, because that was another 6 damage in from the Birds of Paradise.
Yeah, the onus is entirely on Raid here, and I think Darold needs to probably just, or has the option to just sit back and relax and lean on that birds. Raid is the one who has to find an answer. I wouldn't
he's thinking about what his cards can do right now, because right now he can't keep them in hand. Like, he has to start playing things, because otherwise he's just going to straight die to the sword. Got to get in. There's no reason not to, but with the life that Darold's gaining from the sword, that's only going to take him down to 18.
Right? Yeah. So Phantasmal Image copies birds. Okay.
Which we'll be able to block for one.
Yeah, that's
for one turn at least. Cavern of Souls comes down. Not sure what that's naming. We'll find out for you. Passes back over to Darold. Copperline Gorge doesn't give him any more action. That Green Sun Zenith is still in his hand, kind of waiting for an opportunity to kind of blow out here. But The cavern is naming humans.
Okay, no surprise there.
Yep.
Um,
Darold lays his forest, and it looks like he's going to go looking for something. So Green Sun
Sun
Zenith for 5.
And
Let's take a quick look at this list.
is he going for Wolfear Silverheart, you
Yep,
think?
he has an opportunity. He can also grab Hunt Master of the Fells. He also has an acidic slime, which I'm not sure that often when you're Green Sun Zenithing for 5 and looking for an answer.
Yeah, it's Silverheart. Not a surprise.
Yep.
Paired up
And
with
we
the
will
bird.
pair up with the birds. Now that makes the birds pretty. It's lethal as long as Raid has a card in hand.
Yeah, Raid's
And
gonna
so
need to.
Raid's gonna have to chump here with his image.
Forbidden Alchemy. That's
just
gonna end up
changing
netting,
the card in
Yeah,
your hand.
exactly. You're just netting the same amount, but
Well, there's the Doom Blade.
still doesn't have black mana though.
Yep. Looks like a Ponder, a Doom Blade, and I'm not sure what the other cards there are. I think, regardless, this has got to be a chump block.
Yeah, I don't really think it changes too much about Raid's plan.
Blade Splicer looks like one of the other cards.
Yeah.
Looks like,
I think
I think I've got to.
There's Lingering Souls.
Yeah, he's
there
going to
too.
keep the Doom Blade and
just
try.
hope to draw a black. Yeah.
And so Lingering Souls, Blade Splicer, and Ponder hit the bin. Now the other way to go would have been to keep the Ponder and try and dig for your Oblivion Ring.
Yeah, I think his plan here may have been better just because he's got more likely, I think, to hit a black source than to hit the one of Oblivion Ring.
So he does have 1 Swamp, and then he has 4 Darkslick Shores, but the Darkslick Shores are not real. They're not live.
They're too slow at this point.
They come in tapped, and he's out of luck at that point. So at this point, I think it may actually have been better to go for the Ponder because at least the Oblivion Ring is a full answer. Like you're dead one way or the other. Snapcaster is going to give him a chance to flash something back.
Probably the Ponder. Yeah. See, that is one.
But isn't that just a little? Because he has to find his swamp. So like Snapcaster, Thought Scour, and off camera. Oh, there we go.
Can't quite see it. His thoughts. Is it Gut Shot?
Gut Shot.
Yeah. Gut Shot. Really not going to do much.
Looking at those 3 cards, I think that it may be time to
pack it in.
Yeah.
I mean, he can shuffle, hope to draw Swamp.
Now, if he'd kept the Ponder here instead of the Doom Blade, he would have had an opportunity. I guess he wouldn't have had enough mana to do it, but he would have had an opportunity to Ponder
and then
Snapcaster the Ponder. But I don't know what he's looking for at that point. Another Phantasmal Image, I guess. He has 3 of them. Like that at least gives you a turn. But the Silverheart is so big that he can't really attack in and get any damage through. I think he's just way too far on his back foot here.
Yeah.
He's got to be thinking about his answers out of the board. Now, does he have another image to stall for a turn?
You are undefeated for X1.
He does. He did find another answer. I mean, it's just time, but that could be really relevant.
At this point, the Restoration Angel is the only thing that can get through because that Silverheart is big.
Speed things up later.
So that does mean that he's going to make it through. He's going to be able to Doom Blade the birds, and he should be able to do that when Darold attacks. So we're looking at whether or not Darold can start getting Kessig Wolf Run.
Wolf Run, target the image. 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 Not going to target the image.
Well, either way, it should be okay. He should be able to just knock through because he gives it another +3. And he still hits through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking and going.
But yeah, you just knock it out.
The image and kill it. Yeah. it's not.
Or
it's still just,
trample over there.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Kessig Wolf Run does it all, but I feel like you could just. People seem to be missing that today. Maybe that's why I'm harping on it. We saw somebody with the opportunity to do it, and they just didn't.
Remember when you have an opportunity with a targeting ability,
yeah,
that phantasmal image, as long as it's copying something, has the trigger.
Yeah, so I mean, you could kill the image, and then and now the Sorted Birds gets in for sure. I don't know how many cards were left in.
There's only 1 or 2, but it was still lethal.
Yeah, so.
All right, so I'm Jared Silva alongside Joey Pasco. We're coming to you from StarCityGames.com Open Series Seattle. Yep. Standard Open Day 1. This is round 7 of 9, the most beautiful round. And
why is that? Why is round 7 the most beautiful round?
It's the most beautiful round.
It just is. It's just
Star
a
Trek?
thing.
No.
Nothing. What's that?
Okay. All right, so we just saw Darold Miller's red-green deck take game 1 from Raid Alawar with a turn 2 sort of War and Peace, which he was unable to answer.
Yeah, that went all the way.
Raid does have a couple of ways to answer the sword in game 2 out of the sideboard.
Yeah, he's got a Divine Offering. He's got well, that's his only answer as far as directly to the sword.
Once it hits the board, that's his answer.
He has a Dissipate. He's got a Negate. Those will help him deal with or keep it from hitting the board in the first place. He's got a Ghost Quarter for Kessig Wolf Run, which can be very relevant as we saw there.
Absolutely.
He also can go a little big with the Sun Titans. He's got an additional Phantasmal Image. We saw how clutch that ended up being.
Yeah,
just
I think
to
that's
give
got to
him
be
more time.
That's got to be coming in. What cards do you think are going to come out of this right now?
I think he brings in the Batterskull.
Yeah,
by the
absolutely.
way.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a look and see.
I think the one Forbidden Alchemy may just be too slow.
Yeah, it's not. That's more of like a digger kind of card. You know, like I'm trying to find an answer. Nice to have, but if you just replace it with an answer, it'd be nice.
Yep. And how do you feel about Gutshot? It would have been key if he could have had it early game.
It's tough because like I want the gut shots to keep it off the bird, keep swords from hitting birds, being equipped to birds. Or I think I keep the gut shots. It's tough. I probably shave the mana leaks. I probably actually cut the mana leaks to some degree. But then again, that's helpful against the.
Are you expecting to be on your back foot though against red green? And mana leak is not at its best when you're the defensive deck.
Right.
You want to do something that's forcing your opponent to have to start pushing, and at that point they can't play around it. So let's look over at Darold Miller. Esper is not a surprising deck to run into. What do we have out of the sideboard here? Well,
he's got Zealous Conscripts, which isn't as impressive against most of what he saw from Raid, but if he's aware, this is the Esper mid-range. If he's expecting to see something like Sun Titan, something like Gideon, I guess I'm always afraid of Zealous Conscripts personally. So it seems like one of those cards where if you have access to it, and you have reasonable targets for it, I think it's a fair option.
He's got another Bonfire that he can bring in, and he also has a Daybreak Ranger, which. If he thinks he could put Raid, I don't think he saw any black. And so he might have him on just a blue-white plan where he missed his Delvers now.
Did he ever see a Lingering Souls?
He did.
Okay.
I guess he did see a Lingering Souls.
So yeah, he may very well know he's on black then. He's got Combust, also very relevant for all the Restoration Angels we've been seeing. I think that's the main stuff he wants. Maybe a Dismember for those Restoration Angels. I mean, those Angels can get out of hand when you don't have flying. You don't have a lot of flyers yourself.
And also, if you have instant speed elimination, you can go after whatever the Angel's trying to blink.
Right, which we saw him do with the Galvanic Blast.
Yep.
On the what was it? The Blade Splicer.
Yep.
So I think both players have some options here. I feel like red-green is. I mean, he can pull off turn 2 swords. It always looks like a ridiculously powerful
and
deck.
he has 3 Sword of War and Peace, which is a lot more than a lot of the decks are packing. A lot of them have shaved it down to 2, shaved it down to 1. A lot of decks are really kind of cutting that back when it is such a game-breaking card. It's surprising to me that you're seeing it as one of the cards that's losing slots to other cards. I mean, obviously you have to have the guys to put it on.
Yeah.
But as we saw, just devastating.
Yeah.
Raid's whole game one was about trying to answer the Sword of War and Peace that came down on turn 2 and just not having a chance. He made a couple of plays that were clearly just digging for that answer and couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. He's got the 8 accelerators, the full 4 birds, full 4 elves, and so having a 4th Sword of War and Peace would just really increase his chances of being able to slide that in on turn 2.
Turn 2, especially when he's on the play, is almost unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think that is part of why I think Raid needs to keep in those gut shots. He's got 2 main deck. Now, something that he doesn't have that I would want if I were Raid is timely reinforcements. I don't see that anywhere in the list, main or side, and that could...
And especially with the slower Esper decks, you'd think that card would be something that definitely earns a sideboard spot because you're expecting to be behind.
Right, we've seen it in
that card,
earlier ones. Yeah.
That card be the full 3 guys and 6 life, which is just so backbreaking when that happens.
Yeah, when it resolves, which it does.
It undoes so much work.
So I've seen that in a couple of the other lists earlier, but not in Raid's list.
So for Darold, I think you're probably going to drop the acidic slime. I don't know that you're too worried about that unless you're wanting to keep it in for swords that you didn't see. I think on 5 you're probably going to be going for Wolfir Silverheart just to press your advantage. Now, with no Vapor Snags or anything along those lines, that's tough. All right, so Raid leads off with a Dark Slick Shores, and Darold counters with a Forest into a Alawar Elf.
No sign of a sword there for Darold.
Yeah, not seeing it flipping through, but there's a Strangleroot Geist, which is going to allow Darold to start getting in pretty early.
There's 3 on turn 2, a Geist and an Elf.
And it looks like he's got another Elf, a Galvanic Blast. Blade Splicer comes down. The Galvanic Blast is going to be able to take out the
Blade Splicer.
Splicer, but what's that green card? I think I'm...
Well, goes with the Galvanic Blast on the Blade Splicer, as you mentioned. And
I'm going to come in. That's an interesting choice. So you'll deal 1, and then Strangleroot Geist comes back, 3/2, and ready to
party.
Yep. Another Elf.
Second Elf, yeah.
So
I'm surprised. If I'm Raid, I would have blocked the Elf.
Yeah, it looks
3
like...
kill your accelerator, like, thanks. And I mean, I take 2. Now you upgraded his Geist,
and his Geist now kills your Golem right now.
Yeah, I think I kill the Elf before I go ahead and worry about blocking.
Ponder from Raid.
See Batterskull, Seachrome Coast, and blue card that I couldn't quite tell. Was it? I don't think it was another Ponder. It may have been Snapcaster.
Trying to decide what he needs out of this. He's going to leave it there. Draw, it looks like Snapcaster, yep. And here's another Blade Splicer. And this looks like Raid getting out ahead. And so one of the Golems goes ahead and gets in. That is Acidic Slime in.
And here comes Huntmaster of the Fells.
Wolf, and there's Huntmaster. And going back up 2 life. So Darold should be, I believe, at 19 with Raid down to 16. Yep, there we go. All right, so Darold's up a game here. The Huntmaster is pretty threatening. Once those Golems lose first strike, that becomes a much tougher place to be in from Raid's side.
Yeah.
And so if that Huntmaster does flip, that's going to go ahead. I would expect take out the Blade Splicer, but it also turns into a 4/4, which is a tough thing for Raid to get through and get any damage in.
Yeah, Raid's representing a potential Restoration Angel here with his 4 lands up, which can potentially save the Blade Splicer if the Huntmaster attempts to target it to kill it with the on the flip. So 2 golems into the red zone, and it looks like one was chump blocked.
Yep, one's chump blocked, and I guess that's a fine choice, but I'm not sure that the life is worth the Llanowar Elf right now. I think you can make that trade at almost any point. And so he's going to play a Restoration Angel on his turn just to keep the Huntmaster from flipping.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess, yeah.
Copperline Gorge is the draw for Darold, and similar to last game, he's kind of out of gas at this point. He does have the Slime, which he's going to be able to drop and knock out the untapped Golem, but that doesn't open the way because that Restoration Angel still has, it's got a pretty big butt.
Yeah, it has a big butt. Cannot lie.
And so Raid untaps. Still been able to hold on to that Blade Splicer. Now, if you were Darold, would you have just passed to flip your Huntmaster?
Yeah, actually, I think I would have. I think I would have tried to flip my Huntmaster. Well, he would have flipped it because the Raid was tapped out.
Was tapped out.
Huntmaster flips, killed the Blade Splicer, and then you're left with 3 non-first striking golems.
Wolf jumps in the way, and Darold drops to 10. Raid trying to figure out what to play. You've got to think that he's going to be...
he's got Batterskull.
He's got the Image, he's got Batterskull, he's got Doomblade.
He can play Image, copying Angel, blinking Blade Splicer to make yet another golem. And that looks like Image, copies Angel, blinks Blade Splicer.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly that.
And since he has Doomblade mana up, Darold isn't even able to pass back and flip.
So just draws a land.
Yep, and it looks like Darold is just bricking here and has not been able to find what he needs to, and looks and
so here he
passes
goes
back over. Now he's gonna flip.
Flip Huntmaster, Doomblade.
Doomblade. Now, if Raid had been paying attention, he could have Doombladed
at the end of turn.
Well, he could have Doombladed any of the guys there and kept the Huntmaster from flipping. So Raid also turns a whole bunch of stuff sideways.
Yeah, and Darold gonna try to stay alive here. He's gonna take
block 2 of them.
He's gonna take
still taking 9.
Yeah. Raid could have had those lands untapped, though, is my point. Like, even if he wants to Doomblade the Huntmaster. Like,
and looks at it, looks for Bonfire, doesn't find it.
Looking for a miracle. So, yeah, you were going to say something about Bonfire and Miracle.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting mechanic, but I find that it enhances something that doesn't really need to be enhanced. Top decking, in and of itself, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be made better.
Very dramatic.
And being top decked against doesn't need to be made any worse.
That's true.
And so it's the miracle mechanic. I really feel like it pushes the wrong way on both of those things. It's more feel bad and more feel good where you didn't need either of those. And so it's an interesting mechanic. I think that it definitely could have been done in a way that made it different than just top decking, but the way that it was built in and the way that it was built, I really feel like all it is just super top decking.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like, when you think of Miracle, are you mostly feeling like Bonfire is the main offender?
Yeah,
here? Because
obviously the cards that you think about are the ones that you're seeing played in Standard. Terminus, Bonfire, Entreat the Angels, but in Limited, it's even more a Thunderous Wrath or a Banishing Stroke or a Vanishment, and those cards that or Revenge of the Hunted. That's a beating in Limited, but it's one of those things where a lot of times where the card gets miracled, you could actually play it hard cast, And it changes the feel of it when someone plays a card hard cast. They draw the card, they look at it, maybe they have a couple other cards in their hand, and maybe, as the opponent, you can feel like, well, maybe they were setting it up. Maybe they didn't.
Right.
Maybe they didn't top deck it. But Miracle it's the sick rubbins.
Right. It's just like, haha, just drew this card and it won me the game, even though I was dead next turn or something. Like,
and I mean, honestly, I think those are actually the good stories. The stories where you have to top deck a Miracle to get out. And you do. Like those are the good stories.
For the guy you top.
Yeah, they're
top,
good
the
for
guy
the guy
who's
top
like,
deck.
I fought the entire game and had the game won. If you had just drawn that as a non-miracle, the same card, non-miracle cost, I win. Like that's frustrating.
Yeah, but those are the stories that probably get told, and those are kind of the fun ones. But the ones where it's just rubbing in, like it just I don't know. It's tough, and it's somewhat less so in Standard where there's a way to set it up, or in Legacy where there's Brainstorm and there's a lot of ways to set it up.
Yeah.
And Ponder in Standard and stuff like that. It really is something where, okay, at least you did some kind of work to get it, but it still feels like it's really tough. But Limited's really the thing where I think that it makes a fairly negative impact in my mind. I think that's one of the reasons that Sealed of Avacyn Restored is really a very tough format to like, because the big swingy things that happen in every format are just bigger and swingier, and you feel like you have so little control over the game, because you can play the best game and have made 3 or 4 different plays, and someone top decks Bonfire and shows you Bonfire right off the top.
Right.
Like no setup, no preamble. There's not the chance that they've been setting it up since the start of the game. Like they just top deck a card that completely blows out all the work you did.
Yeah.
So it's really a tough mechanic, and it's a really challenging mechanic to do well. And I think that it's one of those things that's really cool, and that you can get carried away with how cool it is and not think about the downsides.
Well, I think you think about the downsides more often when it happens to you, when you're the one doing it.
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
And it's funny because it feels to me like from the perspective of just watching all the different miracles and seeing like the effects on the game, the one that seems to be the most kind of like innocuous is the time walk.
It's just I didn't even mention it.
Right, you're just like, oh, it's kind of like an explorer, oh, so what? You know what I mean? Like, he time walked. I mean, it's great if you're like swing with everybody, after whatever, you top deck your Temporal Master and you're like, all right, it's Alpha Strike, Alpha Strike.
One of the things with Temporal Mastery is, I think it's 7. It's massively overcosted.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of the other cards that we're talking about. Bonfire is not overcosted for its effect, period. Being cheaper is just like, that's an elbow drop.
Yeah.
Like Terminus, probably would have seen some play just
at 6 mana,
because it deals with so many things that are, the Strangle Root Geists and anything else with Undying. It just straight deals with them. But at 1 mana, it's just crazy. So for the first game here, Darold does not have a turn 1 accelerator. Raid ponders.
One thing also about Bonfire can just win the game via the damage it does.
Yep.
At least with Terminus, it's like, okay, reset the board kind of thing. Let's, take a breath and keep playing the game.
Yep.
It doesn't just end the game literally by itself.
Yeah. So pass back to Darold. And this is a rarity for the red-green aggro deck.
He has no plays.
2 lands on the board and nothing.
Yeah, I wonder what he kept.
There's a Metamorph that he just drew. Here comes
There's
the Strangle Root Geist.
That appears to be resolving and swinging. Play a mountain and pass.
And there's a Silver Heart,
and he's got
it looks like a Bonfire.
He's got a sword as well. I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw a sword.
It's a Metamorph and sword.
Yeah, there it is.
And so that may be what pushed him to keep here. So Flashback Ponder, that's going to allow him to drop his sword and get his sword in, and that sets Raid back to where he was in game 1, which is you've got to deal with it and you don't have many outs. Now the sword on Strangle Root Geist, this is going to be funny to say, is a lot less intimidating than the sword on Birds of Paradise.
Well, just because of the golems and things like that can chump block where they
Ways
couldn't
to
block.
get in the way.
Yeah,
Yep.
things that get in the way, exactly.
So that Snapcaster is going to be able to jump in the way if Raid wants to save some damage. But now Darold is out of lands to play. He's got a
No
Galvanic
accelerators.
Blast, Phyrexian Metamorph. So it looks like he may just use the Metamorph to make another Strangleroot Geist. Yep, pays 2 life. And this is a great play. It's just so powerful with Undying. I mean, it comes back and it copies whatever's best on the field at that point.
Yeah.
If I'm Raid, I block the Metamorph right now just so that he has to make it another Strangleroot Geist.
Yeah, just so you know, you can confirm, you can assure what it's going to be.
It's so dangerous if you let it go for a while.
Oh, he
Raid's
goes the
gonna
other
block
way.
the other Strangleroot Geist, which is an interesting choice here because that can't get any better.
Yeah, right. So now,
It's not-
if he is in a similar situation next turn and somehow, you know, chump block, or I'm sorry, just takes out the Metamorph, it could come back as a second sword or something.
There might be,
you know,
there
like-
might be something more dangerous on the field to copy.
A
If you block the
Batterskull.
Metamorph there, it comes back as a Strangleroot Geist with a counter, which means it's not coming back again.
Right.
You know, you're in essentially the same exact situation, only Strangleroot Geist is always going to come back as Strangleroot Geist.
Yeah.
So here's an image which will copy Strangleroot Geist, I would guess, because
Yeah.
Yep. Evolving Wilds.
So this is going to be interesting. He can't counter. He can here. Darold can play the sword and put Raid in a position where. See, I would have played the sword there before attacking because that leaves the
Metamorph would have been
opportunity
able to
Metamorph
come back as
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, he uses his
Yep.
Strangleroot Geist to
And
block the other
so
Strangleroot
he'll copy Strangleroot Geist. I'm just not sure what you're. Yeah. And there's the sword. And now, people may not know this, but if you come back in and you copy the Metamorph, you're actually copying the creature that it copies because its copyable values are whatever it copied.
Okay, that's
So
definitely.
you're not copying a Metamorph and then getting a choice of what to copy over. If the Metamorph's copied something and you copy it, you're passing right on
whatever
through.
it is. Yeah. It's interesting because it's something that people wonder about. Like, I'm copying
so-
your Metamorph.
Do you think that Darold might have been misunderstanding that and not wanting the image to come back as a copy of a sword?
That's possible.
So Raid looking over his hand here. And we're getting some nice little earthquakes.
Yeah. They're kind of frequent over at the booths, at the table. Somehow.
I'm not sure what math we got to do here. I saw a Cavern of Souls was drawn. And so Darold's been unable to make his 4th land drop here. Strangleroot Geist did some work, copied it with a Phyrexian Metamorph, and so you've got a Phyrexian Metamorph and a Phantasmal Image on the field right now. Both of those are Strangleroot Geists.
It is kind of odd.
So if you're just tuning in, we've got a whole bunch of Strangleroot Geists. That was at least, I saw a Gideon there.
Yeah. Looks like he got in there
Gideon,
with
he's
his,
got a day.
He poked the judges.
So if
So 5th land here, that's a Ghost Quarter.
not too relevant at the moment.
And it's got to be about time to make a play here, Raid.
Just play Gideon.
Yeah,
I mean-
you've got 5 lands there.
You can play Gideon and kill his guy.
Or, well,
It comes back as a
come
sword.
back.
Yeah, that's actually awful.
I would
If it- but
suggest
the-
just
the-
play
the
Gideon and say, come get me.
Yeah, you could do that. And so he does nothing. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking like even if it comes back as a sword, If he doesn't have anything to equip it to, okay, so he's got
Divine
something here.
Offering.
Divine
Yep.
Offering on the Metamorph. I guess he's
It'll
gonna
remove it from the
Snapcaster.
game. Oh no, it destroys? Destroys. Yeah, so it'll come back. That seems...
Seems very strange. So he's Divine Offering on the Metamorph,
Yep.
which destroys it, but it's a Strangleroot Geist, so,
So
it
it
comes
comes
back,
back.
and Darold has the option.
of copying the sword, but he doesn't have another creature right now.
so
He's
it's
been
not
unable
actually
to
that quick.
find his
He didn't
sword.
attack with his hasty guy.
Also true.
He has a hasty Strangleroot Geist there.
That's one of the problems with copying things
Mm-hmm.
is it's not printed on the card. But yeah, he just missed 3 damage right there.
Yeah, because he didn't attack yet. Like he hadn't.
Yep. And he passes back over. Here's a Vault of the Archangel from Raid. And Sun
Titan
Titan will
from
bring
Raid.
back Image, which will be Sun Titan number 2.
Which will bring
So it-
back. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got? Snapcaster?
Yep.
A land, maybe? Goes with Snapcaster. Nothing.
Yep. He doesn't have anything Phyrexian mana to
Yeah.
just mize through.
It's just a 2-1.
There's a
but-
Copperline Gorgon. Oh, that's the worst land he could have drawn.
Yeah, Darold in a very awkward spot here where he's got a sword but can't get through because.
I don't know that I would have brought back the Snapcaster. Because you're going to attack next turn, and then you can bring back the Snapcaster and flash back your Divine Offering.
Yeah.
Bringing back the Snapcaster doesn't do anything for you right there. All it does is give you a
I mean,
blocker,
a chump blocker. So,
which actually he shouldn't have swung in because he.
same reason, right? Because
Yep.
now he blocks.
Or did he block?
Well, he did block, put the Snapcaster in the yard, and there was some sort of hold up kind of thing. Is he thinking about? I mean, he can't block with the Sun Titan or the Image, which is a Sun Titan. So
I'm
a little baffled as to what's going on here. Why did Snapcaster stay alive?
And part 2, why did Metamorph go away?
Well, Metamorph is a 3-2. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was a 5-4. What in the world? Can we?
Pause.
We can't figure out what happened.
All right, so we're going to see if we can get some clarification here.
Metamorph is a 3-2, right? It's a 3-2 Strangleroot Geist. Picks up a sword. Are they gonna pause?
Now.
Yeah. Pause the match.
Yep,
for a
they're-
sec? Yeah, they are. Okay.
Yep. So we're working
So
on.
I'm just talking this through as the way I saw it. So Metamorph is a 3-2 Strangleroot Geist. Picks up a sword, swings, gets chump blocked, right, by a Snapcaster. At least appeared to be. Snapcaster was put in the graveyard.
It looked like something else happened because. Yes. Okay. So here's the issue that happened. When Darold copied the Strangleroot Geist for the
It
last
was a
time, it was a
Phantasmal Image
phantasmal
version.
image. So when he went to equip it, he triggered the Phantasmal Image clause.
Well, now weren't you just saying that the copyable values are what were copied? So
When a Phantasmal Image copies,
it has that additional
it has
value?
that.
Okay. So I think we're good then. That was just very confusing
We're all set. Yep.
for the viewing it, seeing it as a snap. I mean, obviously both of us
Yep. And so it
kind of
was.
got confused there.
It was one of those things where having cards that aren't what they are,
Yeah.
it's pretty confusing.
So Darold accidentally kills his own guy. Obviously, he didn't think about that either.
Yep.
I don't know if Raid caught it or the judge did. Well, the Raid, I don't think,
here's
did because
Gideon.
he chump blocked.
Yep.
Oh no. Well, I think.
This
think
looks
it's-
like he's in very, very tough shape
Yeah, he draws his 5th land, has nothing.
and passes over.
Yeah.
Yep. He needed that 4th land a lot earlier. He had a bunch of stuff to do with it.
He had about
just
16
wasn't able to
turns
do it.
before he saw that 4th land.
Yeah.
That was.
So that's very tough.
Yeah. So wow.
All right.
That
so
was
some
awkward.
tough plays coming back. Some decisions to be made that we might argue with a little bit, but Raid Alawar with his Esper control.